background on how Healthy Start became acquainted with Let's Talk Kids and how we did a joint venture with the Early Learning Coalition to bring this to our community. So, as everybody knows, we moved into our new office complex in March. And here in our office complex is the Healthy Start Coalition and the Early Learning Coalition. Dana Hodges, the executive director of the Early Learning Coalition, sits on the Healthy Start Board of Directors. And I had been to a leadership meeting over in Pensacola in Escambia County and was introduced to a program that the Studert Foundation has in place, and it is called the Baby Brain Bag. And I was really enthralled with what they were doing in their community and handing bags out to every woman who delivered in their labor and delivery hospitals. And I was wondering how we could get something started like that over here in Okaloosa and Walton counties. So I did a little investigation and Googled things on the internet and ended up coming upon Let's Talk Kids and their Me and My Baby Building Bag. And I kind of looked at it and looked at the price, and I thought, let me learn a little bit more about this. So I did some outreach to the folks that put together the bags, the educational team in Minnesota. And I learned a little bit of information about it and thought that I would present it to our new partners upstairs, the Early Learning Coalition, which their number one mission is to prepare children for um, early childhood. I think it's kindergarten preparedness is what it is. And so they really liked the idea. And at the end of the fiscal year last year, they had some money to invest in a program that would help children in our community to be prepared for kindergarten and for pre-K. So with some dollars that they had at the end of the year, they gave the Healthy Start Coalition a grant to purchase these baby building brain bags. And I'm hoping that most of you had received your bags for this training. And so we partnered with them, got them all ordered, and worked with the team at Talk Kids, and they were fabulous. Easy peasy to work with. Learned about the background of how they put the bag together, the reasoning behind it. But I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Candy at first. Candy is the main person that I had been working with, Miss Candy Waltz. And with her is her mother and her sister. And I'm going to let her take it away and introduce everybody to this team.
Well, thank you so much. Our feelings are very mutual that you guys are fabulous to work with. And we're excited to meet all of the home visitors today and really to jumpstart this work and learn alongside of you because we know that partnership is all about collaboration and working together. So we're very open to learn with you. And with that said, I would love to open us up to our training. So today we are going to start with introductions, and then we're going to give you a history of the bag, why it was created, why it was developed, how it's kind of based on science, and then the evolution of the bag and the partnerships that we have developed. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the goals of our partnership, working with all of you, and keep that open for your input too. You know, we're always open for feedback, and we know that we're always better together. And so we hope that we can really collaborate with you as we think about this partnership moving forward. And we have shared these goals with Ardell and Asia. So I know they're kind of the main contacts for us. So feel free to share ideas with them, or you'll have my contact information later to look at. And then we're going to do a show and tell. So you get to participate with us, get out your bags, look inside. We'll kind of walk through all the different components in the bag and why they're there. And then we're going to tell you about the evaluation opportunity that we have, and we're going to need your support on to do some pre and post surveys with the families that you serve. And then we're hoping to sit down and have some qualitative conversations with you, really, again, to think about, because to me, it's all about the babies and the families and these young children. How can we best uplift, and support the families? And then we're going to conclude and end well with some question and answer. So I have to put in here that we are just very, very grateful to work alongside of you. And we're so grateful for the work that you do and honor what you're doing and for this partnership. So thanks everybody for being here and spending time with us today. Now we have an assignment for you. So please get your typing fingers ready and put in the chat your name and where you work. And then we like to do at Let's Talk Kids 1-word responses, or if you're like me, a hyphenated one can be great. But one thing, 1-word response, what do you like about working with families and young children? And so for me, it's bonding the families. And so I would probably just say bonding and joy, because I never can just stay to one. We'll wait a minute or two for you to get some typing fingers and read some, and then we'll move on to a little bit more about us. While they're typing, do you want to share one thing you like about working with young families and children?
Well, I just believe so strongly. Hi, I'm Wendy Wells, and I'm the mom. I just love that we are preparing the future, and children are our future. I'm sorry, I can't delete it down to 1 word either, but
So
I guess
future.
the future would
Yeah.
be absolutely my goal. And my
Oh,
love.
I love what you guys are typing in. Empowering, support. This is good. Thank you all for the work that you do. Oh, potential. That's a really good one.
Mhm.
Encouragement, guidance, providing help. You guys are so awesome. Ah, yes to all of it. Well, while the rest of our colleagues are typing in, I just love that, the guidance. And you can see that we have a star on our little Let's Talk Kids. And sometimes we think about our guiding star and our star that we're working towards in the future. So I love all of that. And while you finish typing in, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Hello, so I would like to introduce you first to me. I'm Wendy Walls, and no relation to the governor as far as I know yet. But I want to tell you that my strongest love is my family. And I raised these 2 wonderful daughters, Cinnamon and Candy, and they granted me the love of my life, my 4 grandchildren. So just watching the extension of family and helping our family grow, and just knowing that our bloodline is going to continue has been so joyful to me. So that's my life. But my professional life is that I am an early childhood, licensed early childhood teacher, and also a parent educator. In Minnesota, we have licensed parent educators. So I have certification in family education, but I also have K-12 education in my background. So been 40 years in this business and love it. I'm still in the business, and I'm doing childcare, and I'm doing early childhood screening for 3 districts in Minnesota. And so I just can't get out of my heart and soul the love of these children and families. So I'm going to continue on as long as I can keep going. That's me. And now I want to introduce you to my oldest daughter, Cinnamon.
Good morning. My name is Cinnamon Tyson, and I'm one of the founders of Let's Talk Kids. I'm a licensed parent educator from Minnesota. Just like my mom, I have the early childhood background plus my parent ed license, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. We work under what's called early childhood family education, and that is where families come with their little ones, birth to age 5, and then they have some playtime together, and then they split off. Parents come with me as the parent educator, and then the children stay with our early childhood teacher. And so we get to talk about the joys and woes of raising little ones at this time. So, and have been in this, like I said, for the past 10 years. And before that, I was an early childhood teacher for 10 years previous to that. I think my favorite thing about working with kids is the joy and wonder that they see that they just, all of a sudden, they just blossom and they get this great look on their face and they're just excited to be at school. And I think my favorite memory as being a parent educator is I was working with a Somali family, and if you know anything about the Somali community, the men are kind of the in charge ones, and so are the little boys. And so I worked with this mom who was very upset that she was the adult and she couldn't be in charge. And so she turned it around and she kept coming to parenting classes and worked with me, and I worked with her, and we got it figured out where, you know what, just because this is our belief, I can still be in charge of my family. And so now all of a sudden I saw her about 5 years ago at a conference, and she is still in charge of her family and she loves it. And now she's helping other families get to that point. So I think that was probably one of my favorite memories of working with families and children.
So I am Candy Waltz Style, and as you know, this is my mom and sister. And so a couple of things about me. I am not a licensed early childhood parent educator, but education runs in our family. And so I was a college professor and I taught what we called the new student seminar. And one of the things that we did in that class was talk about victim versus creator mentality. So, you know, this room is cold and I can't learn. That's a victim mentality. But then we changed it. This room is cold and I can put on a sweater. This material is too hard and I can't learn, or it's too complicated. So then we changed that victim statement to a creator statement of this material is hard and I can ask my professor for help, or I can go to the study lab, or I can ask one of my peers. And that really stuck with me. A couple of things. One, I thought the kids or the college students that were succeeding in my class, they had very involved parents. And I could tell that in college. And I was like, what would our world be like if we were supporting all families and parents to be their baby's first and most important teachers? And then secondly, what would happen if we encourage babies from the get-go to use some of these creator mentalities and these growth mindsets? How could we change our society and our world? And so we have all of that in the kit, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you. And the last thing I want to share is my mom. Not only are we the developers of this, but we're also the clients because we've used this with our own kids
And grandkids.
and grandkids. And my mom had Cinnamon and I truly, literally starting, I think like at 10 or 12, Cinnamon, we started babysitting people at the sibling care. And so we have been around kids our whole life, and it really, truly is a shared family passion and a joy for all of us. I see that we have a couple more change and difference. So thank you for your contributions and why you work with families. We love it. We also want to just kind of level set. And I think we all in this room know that the first 1,000 days of a baby's life are so critical for the brain development and the growth. And Harvard research has shown that 90% of the baby's brain is developed in those first 3 years of life. And so we know that, and just to ground ourselves in the thinking that brain growth and development is so critical at this early stage of life. And the more we can quality interact with the parents and the families we serve, the more that we can interact and teach them to interact with their babies and model that, the better off we all are. So that's really the premise, is like, how do we uplift and support these families in this really important, pliable brain time of growth and development? And I'll share a little anecdote about myself. I actually have a son that stopped breathing at 7 days old. And so we had a lot of developmental delays. And I just remember it took, he was 4 months old and 5 months old when I noticed these developmental delays. And we didn't get in to see a therapist till 9 months. And it was just so aggravating for me as a parent because I felt like I was sitting on my hands. And so that comment of what can I do to support and educate my baby really helped us kind of think about, let's keep going with all of the things that we're doing in this kit, and even add some more things to the kit to best support those families and the babies.
So I'm going to be up and tell you a little bit of history. So I said I have worked in the field for 40-something years and still continue on to this day forward. But what spurred me on to want to make these kits is because I have the educators in my family. I said, we need to help families go forward and be the strongest families that they could. So we based the premise on that I had done early childhood screening and saw over 1,000 kids in my 40 years. And I would notice that some children came with enormous amounts of skills. Some children came with a modicum amount, a medium amount, but some children had no skills. And so I thought, oh, these poor young children. The other thing that we were being told at the very same time is that third grader and reading, if a child came with 30,000 words and understood them and know them, they were going to be a very successful reader. And so some of the children only had 3,000 words and they were not as successful in their school careers. So we said, oh, we need to start putting inputs into these brains with words. And so that is where we decided, oh, we have the premise in Minnesota that parents are the first and most important teachers. Well, through parent education, I learned that some parents just don't feel competent as being a teacher. How can I be a teacher? I'm not trained as a teacher. Well, yes, you are. If you do those simple things, simple activities with your children and just talk to them, they are going to get their brains wired so that they will have the words and the connections and all the good things that they need to become successful. So we also wanted to include very critical, the domains of learning that are written into the National Early Childhood Standards, and Minnesota has adopted them too for Minnesota, maybe, and probably Florida has too. We wanted to take all that critical learning that we know from research to include in our kits with basic learning tools. And then we wanted to create something that was easy and take it on the go. We want to have that out and available to families whenever they go. So instead of giving your child a phone, maybe in the doctor's office, we want you to take your kits with you and draw out a toy, draw out those cups or draw out a mirror and play with them and talk to them. And yes, parents may be embarrassed to talk to their child at a doctor's appointment, but we don't want that to happen. We want it to become a societal thing that parents are talking to their children, playing with them in whatever place that they're at. So one of the things that I found so exciting as I was working with our little young Lukey, who Candy has said that he has some learning delays, was we sang to Lukey. That was his mode of really learning. We would sing songs over and over, like Mary Had a Little Lamb and The Farmer in the Dell, and singing those songs. And then one day when he got to be old enough that we were reading a story about Mary Had a Little Lamb, his little brain, like Candy said, just went off like a light bulb. And he said, lamb, lamb, because he had known that we were singing about lambs, and now he saw one in the book and he connected those. So those brain connections just fired up and went off like a light bulb. So the other thing that we want to do is play is how children learn. So we want you to help the parents in their environment, just like we do in early childhood, and you probably know this, set their homes up as a playing and learning environment. So getting on the floor, playing with their children, talking to them. And what we have found out is that just 20 minutes of uninterrupted play a day, even with infants, you can break it up into 4 or 5 minute segments, because you know we don't have an attention span when we're teensy tiny, but then as children go on and develop throughout the year, you can expand that play to maybe 2 10-minute playing sessions, or maybe by the time they're 1, they can expand it all the way out to 20 minutes of good learning and playing together. So we put the tools for learning, which are, of course, toys, into the kit, and we wanted to make them basic and simple. But you can see all the activities that we've designed just to go with these 2 different kinds of toys. And so parents just need to get creative and use these toys in as many thousands of ways as they possibly can. So as I said before, children learn through play. We have the tools of our work. They have their tools. It's toys. And so books and songs also enter into the mix. But in the kit, we've just put a couple of simple learning tools. And then We want to really remind parents that you are brain builders. You can see in this video, this little slide here, that parents literally hold their children's brains in their hands. And it's them that are creating those connections that make learning stimulating and also set you up for social emotional wellness because of the love, the caring, the bonding, the responsiveness that parents have, the sitting down with undivided attention and just really playing and learning together and having that good quality time together is what just makes those brains grow so healthy and so strong.
So we also wanted to share that our history of the learning kits has definitely evolved with partnerships. And so, as Ardell eloquently said at the beginning, these are being actually distributed in the city of St. Paul as an example every time a baby's born. And kids are also getting a $50 college scholarship. So we never know how the kits are going to be used or distributed, but we're very excited to learn alongside of you and to partner with you to figure things out. Also, as this kit has evolved, we partnered with the African American Baby Coalition to create the Me and My Baby Building Bag. And so within this bag, you're going to see, and I've got the black one here, but you all have the red one, which we created specifically for you. Within this bag, we have the parenting tip that those are also provided by the African American Baby Coalition. So kind of dispelling myths that, could you spoil your baby by holding them too much or loving on them? We actually say you can't spoil a baby by hugging them and giving them more attention. And as my mom said, with the 20 minutes of play a day, just very thoughtful, kind tips of how to best show up for your family. And for you all, the babies that you serve and the families that you serve, but for the parents, how to best show up for their family. We also created the affirmation cards, which I'm super excited about, and I'll share with you a little bit more later. But these affirmation cards also kind of helped us to think back to that example I gave of the victim versus creator mentality. Is we learned that some of these parents just really couldn't show up for their kids in the way that they needed because they weren't doing good themselves. And so we created these friendly little tips and reminders of how to best support you so then you can best show up for your baby. And as we have already stated numerous times, we really want to collaborate and learn alongside of you to see what we could do, maybe even to make the bag better. But we also believe that when parents are at their best, they're going to best show up for their babies. The goals of our work in this collaboration is to provide you with the bags and a resource to do your best work, that parents are going to prioritize their self-care and well-being, that the babies are going to meet their developmental milestones, and that families are bonded. And now Cinnamon will share with you kind of some show and tell. So get your bags out, please.
May I just interject one thing here? I am so excited to have this partnership because it was my goal when the bags were developed that the very best vehicle for incorporating these to families or getting them to families was through home visitors. So this is so exciting for me as a developer and creator. I said, if only public health could take these out and show parents and see and teach them how to be that best parent, because it's very basic, very simple, but some parents just didn't know. And now we're going to have you as the resources and the guides to help those families just move forward.
And I'm going to add one more thing before we turn it over to Cinnamon, is we also provided you with, we provided Ardell and Isha with a template for a worksheet. So we're curious to see, like, if you want to write down different homework assignments that the families can work on between the times they meet with you, or so on and so forth. But Cinnamon's going to take it away.
Thank you. I'm so excited to share our learning kits with you. So hopefully you have it out and you're ready to get going here. We had created these learning kits to help all families with the quick and easy tools at their fingertips. These kits include 3 sets of cards, one set of stacking cups, one mirror, and of course the bag. And the bag can function for more than just a learning kit. It can function as a diaper bag or any kind of bag that they might need. The kids can even play with it, at times too. The first set of cards here is the ABCs for learning, and Candy just kind of described those, but also she'll share a little bit more with those in a little while here. Your second set of cards are the brain builders, and those include the sign language, the colors, and the shape cards. And then the third one is me and my baby learning bags. So that will come, those will come out in just a little bit. But the first thing I want to start with is your stacking cups. These stacking cups can be used for both pouring and dumping. They can be used for object permanence. You can flip it over. Where's the ball? They can be used for drums. Of course, that's always fun. Or of course, they can just be used for stacking. And then you're going to teach them a new word, because after you stack them, you push them over and say timber. And using that kind of language is not only a new word, but then they hear it in your expression. And then it kind of brings out again kind of feeling. So the kids really want you to keep stacking and knocking them over and saying timber. So then also with your cups, you can take your brain builder cards and you can match the cup to the color card. So you can match it to red. You can have a red day one day. So these are just some ideas you can share with families, but you could have a red day one day and eat everything red, wear red, go outside and look for things that are red. So you just have a specific day, color day. You can also point to the cup and say the cup is a circle. Have your baby trace that circle. And of course, the baby's gonna trace it with the parent. And then you go into here and you trace the circle here. And you talk about it. It's a circle. It has no sides. And so you can do that. And then you can trace a circle on their back. And my 12-year-old still loves to have the shapes traced on his back and try to guess them. So it keeps going. They keep building on this and they love it. So keep working with that. Also, it matches the shape. Excuse me, I already said that. And then you can say, you know what? The circle has no sides, but the square has 4 sides. So then you count them 1, 2, 3, 4. The triangle has 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. And so you can differentiate a little bit about how many sides, how many, angles, that kind of thing. Just keep building and building and building. So let's move to the big set of cards. The first 5 cards in your card deck, like Candy said, will tell you the things that African American Baby Coalition have written for you. But you can take these cards to the visit and do 1 card at a time. So if you take this first one, like experiences build their brains, you can talk about that card with the families and then ask them, what experiences have you had? And give them some ideas about experiences that they might have already had, such as they have taken a walk. And what did they talk about on that walk? Did they talk about the sky? Did they talk about the leaves, the trees, the sounds that they hear? So kind of give them experiences, because experiences build those brains. They connect those brains together. So keep giving them ideas of those experiences. And then the next week, bring that or give them some homework and say, now you go out and you find an experience. And when I come back, we're going to talk about the experience that you have had. The 5th card in this deck from the American Baby Coalition is very, very important. It talks about that you can never spoil your baby. Never, never, never spoil your baby. This is a way of communicating through cries, through cuddles, through all that kind of stuff with the baby. So they need to know that no matter what, you need to pick up that baby when they cry or when they coo, you talk back to them. So it's building that trust so that that baby learns how to interact, how to talk back, how to communicate back and forth, and all those great things that baby's learning when you pick up your baby every time they need you. So These next cards are going to give you the ideas of what you can do with the activities and the activity cards. So you want to look through these because again, these are day to day. You can take these out, you can train the families one day at a time saying, okay, today we're going to play with our stacking cups and we're going to do this game on the very first page. So you want to kind of go through these step by step and kind of teach the families of how to do this. So like this first one, this little boy here, he's just lining up the cups and that's pretty easy and they go from small to big. So you probably want to just give them extra ideas. Again, give them some homework, see what they can create throughout the week. Maybe not using the cards, but their own ideas because parents are creative. They just have to maybe get a first idea and then they can go with that. So make sure that you give them some ideas first using the cards, but then maybe something you have in the back of your mind and then have them come up with their own idea also.
Hi, just an interjection. Now, these kits were designed for parents of children birth to 2. And so we want to remind you that you're probably working with the infants birth to 12 months. So some of the activities won't be relevant or appropriate, but you know, have the parents modify the activities to work with whatever that developmental milestone is that they want to go. So the birth to 2 months, the 2 to 4 months, 4 to 6, and so on and so forth. So some of the cards may not be relevant, but that's okay. They can look forward as parents to know what to do as their child is moving down the developmental trajectory. However, you know, just modify the cards as the child grows.
And the other thing we've heard from a lot of our users is, you know, at the beginning, it was a little weird to be like, oh, here's a blue cup and like match things, you know, like to the color flashcard. But as the baby got older, the baby could start then pointing to different blue things. So they really noticed the growth and development of their children by first modeling some of these activities and then watching the child do it alone.
Right. And I just want to interject too, that you cannot, as a parent, talk to your child enough. One of the speech and language experts that I got to hear said, a parent should almost be like a sports broadcaster, and you have to tell your baby everything. Like, can you give me the mirror, Candy? This is a green mirror. It's a froggy. You can look and see inside. You can see your face. This is a happy frog because he has a smiley face. And even though the child cannot respond back to you, those brain neurons are firing, and so they're learning, they're taking in the information. And so, you know, if you smile in the mirror, then the baby's going to smile back. Or if you move the mirror about, hopefully you're watching your baby's eyes move from side to side and seeing if your baby's eyes can move from side to side, so you can do some checking and seeing if they're physically developing in the correct way. So there's so many things, but using those words to describe all the fun things you're doing is really important in infancy, those first 12 months. Okay.
All right. So the next card is sign language. And again, like they just told you, they're not going to understand the sign language yet. But the more that you're consistent and the more that you use just a couple words like dad or mom, they're going to be able to pick up some of that sign language. The more you use it, the more you say it, the more you show them. And the first time they probably will understand this is probably about 6 months, and they probably aren't going to ever sign back to mom or dad until anywhere between 9 and 12 months. And so that's another thing that the parents need to know, is that just because I'm showing this to my baby, they may not respond back to me yet, and that's okay. But the more that I show them and repeat myself and do this, the easier it will become. And so once we teach them some of those basic words, basic signs, it might take some of that hardship out once that language starts coming between 12 to 18 months. So you'll understand each other better when you can't understand what what little Timmy is trying to tell you, right? But if he uses his sign, you'll be able to understand him more, and then less frustration comes with all of that. So we have given you 4 simple words: mom, dad, more, and please in your cards. So just please use those, but you can also teach your families extra words. Especially when they get a little bit older, 9 to 12 months, you can give them some more signs so that they have them and they can teach the families or teach their babies. And then hopefully, like I said, that frustration with the language is a little bit more diminished than what we would like it to be. So, okay.
I just want to say, when I was a grandma and my little ones would say more, or all done, that was so helpful for me because they couldn't verbalize the words, but they could sign to Nana what they were telling me. So it was so fun to have that communication as an earliest communication link. It was just amazing.
All right. Okay, so I've not forgotten about the mirror. I promise. Here it is. I've not forgotten about the mirror. But on the 12th card, it talks about using the mirror. And again, this is a great tummy time activity. So this is where we can get tummy time into our day. And of course, and you can teach this to the parents because tummy time is the worst. Most babies hate tummy time, but this is a great way to do tummy time because they can see in the mirror. They can see mom, they can see dad, they can see themselves. They can see that other baby that's in the mirror. So it'll get better, and it'll help with them to be able to see something or reach for something depending on where they are on their age and stage. But tell families, okay, look in your mirror. Let's talk about eyes and ears and mouth and nose and hair if they have it. So talk about that too. But again, this is just doing it consistently. And again, they're not going to respond. They're not going to really know what the mirror means or does or whatever. But the more you use it, the more they're going to understand it. So we just want to keep talking about it and using it over and over and over. And again, they only need about 20 minutes of playtime, but it's amazing what they learn in that 20 minutes. It's crazy amazing what they learn. But then when they get a little bit older, again, this will grow with them the whole time. But when they get a little bit older, then we can match faces in the mirror. So mom's got eyes, mom's got nose, mom's got a mouth, and so do you. Look at yours. And you have blue eyes, but I have brown eyes. So we just keep talking about our face and our facial expressions. And of course, they want to talk back to that baby. So let them talk back to that baby once they get older and they're ready to start babbling and chit-chatting with that baby in the mirror, or the mom or dad in the mirror, or guardian or parent, whatever, grandparent, excuse me. And so they think it's fun because, somebody that looks like me, it's a fun game that I can see somebody that looks just like me and I can talk back to them. But again, this all comes with singing, talking, reading to your baby. And so, like Wendy said, we need to really keep talking through our day and being that broadcaster and just talk, sing. And it doesn't matter what you talk about. It doesn't matter how you talk about it. It can be a happy voice. It can be a sad voice. And then that also brings the emotion in there. And then the kiddos know what emotions are.
So I think that's the perfect segue to talk about other things you can say to your families with affirmation cards. So if you want to pull out these affirmations, the ABCs for grown-ups and the affirmation cards, these again were developed with the African American Baby Coalition and Jackie Levine and the Power of Possibility, really to uplift parents. You'll see within the cards, I realize that I'm not on the slide. They are based on neuroscience. And so the fact that our brains are like Teflon, I don't know if you've ever heard this, we can all think of like a negative review or a bad grade we got, or something that was just an offsetting comment that maybe somebody said to us or about our families or about ourselves, and it sticks with us. And sometimes it keeps you up at night. But what we have learned through neuroscience is we can train our brain for positive thinking. And so parents can do this with themselves and with their babies. And back to Cinnamon's last point about we can say anything to our babies is we have actually seen that we just did a pilot with teen parents. And at the beginning of the pilot, the teen parents kind of came in, plopped their babies down, and did their own teen thing and like kind of didn't interact with their babies. But as they started using these learning kits and these affirmation cards, they were celebrating their milestones of their babies. They were taking videos, taking pictures, and sharing that with their instructors. And so we're excited to again see kind of what develops from you guys and to learn alongside of you. But the parents were also picking up these affirmation cards and saying things like, baby, you are awesome. Baby, I am so proud of you for rolling over. And again, as that former instructor at college, I think about like, what will our world be like if we fill these little loving brains and minds with all this positive input? And so that's why we intentionally created these cards and put these cards in the learning kit. You'll see within the cards that they have an activity for parents to do with themselves. You as home visitors can do these for yourselves, do them every once in a while and just see how you feel. And I'm a firm believer that we need to model what we're asking people to teach. And that was one of the best things I learned is teach. And if you're going to give an assignment, do it yourself and see how that feels. We have activities for you to do with your infant or toddler. If there's older children in the house, the children are adolescents or nieces or nephews, you can do those activities. And then finally, with your families. And again, we've just seen so many positive outcomes. Parents are saying, I've heard of mindfulness, or I've heard of affirmation cards, I've never used them. I didn't know I could use them with my babies. And they're saying that they're much more connected to their babies, to their children, within their communities, and with their spouses, which is so powerful. So what I would like to do now is I'm going to flip to beautiful and I'm going to give you an example of how this works. And so this affirmation is, I am beautiful inside and out. And some days I just randomly pick one. So this is the one I've got for today. The question for reflection is, how do I express my inner and outer beauty? And so you can think about that for yourself, or you can tell your baby, baby, you are beautiful. And then to think about, how do you express your inner and outer beauty? So the activity to do with yourself is to look in a mirror, and I happen to have one right here, and to say to yourself things like, Candy, you are a beautiful caregiver. You are an awesome mom. Great daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can just really say those things and uplift yourself and really feel powerful about what you're doing to your parent in your family, and just to honor the things that you're contributing to the society. With your baby, you hold your baby in your hands and you say, baby, you have beautiful eyes. Baby, you have beautiful hands. I can't wait to see what you're going to create with these beautiful hands. Baby, you have a beautiful mind. I'm so excited to look at what interests you're going to create together. I can't wait to learn what you love and to support you in that. So any of those things that you can think about, there's no right or wrong of all of this. Model this with the families that you serve. Think about how you can adapt it and make it your own. And then with the children or adolescent, you can ask them to draw a picture when they felt beautiful. And then think about, why do they feel beautiful in certain situations? And then I'm going to share this one with the family activity. It's to make a collage, your own individual collage or a family collage, including drawings and photos or written statements about each person's inner and outer beauty. And so we did this recently in my family, and my husband is really good friends with his dad. And so one of the things that I think is interesting is just that partnership and that friendship that they have. And he says sometimes, my dad is my best friend. And so I got to write down, like, I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. And now you get to be that kind of same model and friend with our kids. And then we wrote, my older son has got the biggest tender heart, and he is so kind, and he's got a song in his heart and he sings to everybody. So he has got the gift of music. So honoring that for him. And my younger child is like very creative, and he's putting on movies, and he's always like creating an imagination. So anything that you can celebrate and uplift about your family members, really take that time to honor it. And it might just be, baby, you bring joy to our family just by being you. You bring joy when you come and hang out with your aunt or your grandma. And so thinking about ways to celebrate that beauty. Getting back to just the objectives of our partnership, we are going to create an evaluation or do an evaluation with each of you. And we've already sent over to Ardell and Aisha a pre and post survey that we would like for you to share with the families that you serve. And Ardell, did you want to share more on that? Or we'll just wait for later?
I'm trying. I'd like to do it later because I'm not even ready to queue it up right this minute.
No
So
worries at all. So we have an online survey that we will have Asia and Ardell communicate out when to share that survey. But again, we really want to learn alongside of you and see what's working for families that you're serving. And then we're thinking in March next year, 2025 already, we're thinking that we will do a conversation with each of you or those who want to participate to just really hear how these are working with families and what are the outcomes. So stay tuned for that. And we really look forward to partnering to learn about these kits and how they're working in your counties. Some things to consider as we're having this conversation and thinking about the evaluation is how are the bags working with the home visiting programs? Does using the bags improve a parent's self-efficacy? Do they feel more confident? Do they know what activities to do with their babies? Do they feel like they're more connected with their babies? Are they doing the activities? How often? Do they need those reminders like the homework sheets? Do you like the homework sheets? How are they working? Some organizations we worked with love them. Others say, nope, we just do it on our own or whatnot. Some families, and I think all of us individually, right? I like to check things off and I like to see that they're done. Others just like to do it and report back. What are the families doing with the affirmation cards? Are they finding value using the affirmation cards? How are they using them? Do parents feel like they're better bonded with their babies because of the bags? And then we also like to look at kind of the bigger picture of, back to my mom's comment about evaluating people for school readiness. Are the kids getting like a better trajectory in their education? And we won't know that in this partnership. So do we feel collectively that babies are meeting developmental milestones? And or myself, if you feel like something's not on track, do parents feel a little bit more confident saying that? Or maybe they notice like, my baby's not able to pick this up. And like, is there something we should be concerned about? So we're really excited to learn alongside of you and to look at how this is working with the families. And in conclusion, I just want to say that we all know that those first 1,000 days of a baby's life are crucial for the brain development. And as we've talked about with the Harvard studies and the research, 90% of that baby's brain is developed in those first 3 years of life. And parental interaction and those quality interactions, really, the American Academy of Pediatrics has done so much research on this. It's a little bit of that adverse childhood experiences. If we're connected and bonded with our families and our parents, we are going to have a better life trajectory. And so how do we help guide and support and uplift the parents? And then as we've shared numerous times, we really want to learn alongside of you and collaborate with you. If there's other partnership ideas, how the evaluation's going, anything that we can do. And then we want to acknowledge you and honor you for all that you're doing in your daily work to uplift the families and the babies. So thank you. We would like to take questions if you have any. And open it up. Please feel free to chat things or jump in with a question.
Or comments.
I really liked when Wendy said, act like a sportscaster. And, you have to give parents kind of an idea of how to talk to their kids because it does feel uncomfortable at first. Especially if maybe there's somebody else in the room, you might be like, oh gosh, they're gonna think I'm silly, but
Yeah.
no. And I just thought that that was a great statement and I'm gonna utilize that.
Thank you.
Awesome. One of the other things as you're saying that that I had to learn as a parent was to pause and listen. And my sister does such a great job of this. When my babies were little, she would say, how was your day? and just listen. And I think when you don't have that response, it's hard to remember just to listen because maybe they, or whatever, but just to celebrate whatever kind of response they give.
So just to add on to you too, I just want to remind parents too that playing with your children out in public, you may feel a little bit embarrassed as a parent, but if you start role modeling that, then hopefully other parents will know that it's okay and it's really a good thing rather than keeping silent. Every opportunity that you have to train those children or teach those children is an opportunity to grow those brains, and we just can't grow those brains fast enough and hard enough. So that's just so powerful. And I know that with these inputs at the beginning, I'm not going to see so many young children coming at 3 years old at screening without their skills, because they'll just have it and their parents will want to and know that they are making such a powerful difference in that child's life. So I'm just so excited about the future and I have all this great hope. And again, your partnership with Home Visitors, this has been my long-term goal of getting these in the hands of parents and teaching them that you are the most important teacher and you can be the most, and it's easy, good stuff.
Easy is the thing. And the other thing is fun. So we had developed these kits before I had children of my own, and I babysat a lot. And again, I think it comes back to like, I've been raised around kids and like babysitting is fun. And I got the kits out and I started playing and I was like, we're gonna stack the cups, we're gonna do this. And then like the little one was like, Ma, more, and I was like, you want to do it again? And so it was just fun to see the reaction that little kids had to this content and how great and fun it can be. Easy and fun.
Good. Oh, we have a question.
Or no, we have a comment. Victoria, thank you. We love that you said it's an amazing way to encourage parents to play. And again, like Cinnamon said, play is the child's work. And I just think that's so important because, sometimes I feel like we're like, oh, we got to clean up the house, or, oh gosh, we had a diaper blowout, and, the busyness of life. But just to intentionally take that time to play. And, it can be even as simple as singing songs while you're changing their diaper. And my little guy, like he did, I remember I was reading a book about stars, and before he had words, because we had that language delay, he did, and I was just like, because that just gave me as a mom that affirmation that we are getting those inputs in, and those, even though it's not coming out here, it's connecting. And it was just really powerful to see that.
It was amazing. Yeah, it made Nana cry.
Any other questions or comments? We'll do like a going once.
I have a question on the homework sheets. Do you often include them right in the bag when you're giving them to parents so you can kind of refer to them?
Sure. And yes, I think you can do it how you want. So if you want to drop a homework sheet in, please know that the top is blank. So if you wanted to, and Ardell, I don't remember if I gave you a Word document of that or a PDF, but we're happy to provide you with the Word document. So let's just say that you want to put down this week, work on sign language. This week, your assignment is to do 3 affirmation activities with your baby, or do 2 for yourself and 2 with your baby and 2 with your family, whatever they are. Or this week we're gonna write, we're gonna play with our stacking cups. And so if you wanna like type those out, drop them in the bag, that's perfectly appropriate. If you wanna hand write them in. And the other thing that's interesting is like sometimes we tailor it to where the family's at. So in the example of this teen parent program, one of the, we actually have been working with a couple of teen parents, but one of the programs was like, gall darn, we're having a really hard time and we need to self-care. And so they took affirmation cards and they asked all of the parents to journal for self-care. And they said that was just a really powerful activity because the teens could get these like thoughts out on paper. And so that could be your assignment for the week. Likewise, we've been using the activities with a speech language pathologist. And she said, the thing that I really want to work on this week is those beginning sound words. So like Cinnamon said, stack these up and do timber. She was doing boom. And whatever the baby said, you know, they just celebrated that sound. And then they also took that baby, I think was a little bit older, but they had mom and dad sing, and they tried to have baby mimic back any songs, any sounds, and celebrate those sounds. So again, it's intended to be adaptive to where you are with the families that you're serving and to tailor it to that specific family if desired. Okay, so I'm gonna go twice and 3 times because I do want this. This is one of my favorite things. So as I was always teaching, and one of the things that we love to do here at Let's Talk Kids is to end well. So as we modeled with the beginning of this, one word about how you feel about serving babies, one or a few words of how would you summarize how you're feeling now that we've had this training. So please go ahead and chat that in. Ooh, Dan, excited, motivated, hopeful. Oh, I love that.
That's exactly the 2 words. I am so excited and so hopeful about the future because we have finally found our niche in linking with the home visitors, and I am so excited.
And I'm gonna do, I'm not chatting right now, but I'm gonna do harmony because I just really feel so aligned. I'm excited about this. Like, I
Look at
think there's a lot of
encouraged.
good harmony.
Mhm.
Cinnamon, do you have a word? Anybody else want to go off the chat? Oh, empowered. I love that.
Mhm.
I think just excited. It'll
Yep.
be exciting to see what these families with our kits can do and what the babies learn with these. It'll be exciting news in March when we get together again.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, I love equipped.
Ah,
So visual.
And
I'm
speaking
not
of
sure why that makes
equipped,
me.
excuse me.
What was
Yeah,
that?
go on. Speaking of equipped, within the next few days, work days, we will send out to everybody who's been on this learning webinar, the homework sheets and the survey. So look for a follow-up email within the next few days.
perfect.
Awesome. And as we're doing that, I love our work because we get to use such beautiful babies, and I just feel like the pictures bring me joy. So this boy, I feel like, yes, thank you. And I guess maybe I'm making an assumption. Maybe it's a little girl, but in my mind, it's a boy. But just thank you again for all that you do. And Ardell, please feel free to copy us on that email if that's helpful. And or if you want to get in touch, here's my contact information. Or feel free to work through Ardell and Aisha. And if you have questions for these great early childhood experts, I'm happy to field them, but I'm a little bit more responsive to the emails because everybody's a little bit running in a lot of directions with all the work that we're doing. And so I'm happy to get those questions over to Wendy or Cinnamon if you have additional thoughts, comments, or questions. And then I just really want to end on a note of, again, thank you for the work that you do. Typically, when I'm doing some of the affirmation work, I like to end with an uplifting statement. And so you can try this with the families that you work with. But really, thank you truly from my heart for the work that you do. Thank you for the way that you empower these students, parents, learners of all ages, right? The babies. And just really thank you for all the awesome words that you put in about standing for the future, being hopeful, being excited, feeling empowered and equipped. We're really just humbled to work alongside of you and appreciative. So thank you very much.
Yes, I just can only say amen. Yes, that is exactly. I'm so excited.
Ditto.
Yes.
All right. Thank you much.
Have a
Okay.
great day, everyone.
And make it
Thank
a
you, Wendy, Candy, and Cinnamon.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thank you for
you.
having us today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was